So Womply, I don't know if you've seen this craze. I was actually listening to one of your recent podcasts, and what we do is we develop these scooters that anyone can pick up, and they're powered by Bitcoin. All right, some of you are paying attention. Some of you are paying attention. I enjoyed that podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning for our Silicon Slopes breakfast with Cory Capoccia, president of Womply. Cory, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Cory, why don't you give us an overview of Womply and what Womply does for those who may not know?
Running a small business is really, really, really hard. For anyone who's been in the trenches running a small business, you know this firsthand. For anyone who has a family member, you've heard about the stories. And if you've ever just been in a small business, you realize how chaotic it can be. It's 20 plus million small businesses across America. And what we're focused on is helping them really turn the tables on technology. Because if you think about technology in general, it typically works against small business because most companies build their technology for the enterprise or they build technology for consumers. And as a small business owner, you didn't get into your business to keep pace with all the different things that are happening with technology around you. You got into it because you're good at fixing cars, you're good at making food, you trained to be a dentist. And so Womply really comes in as your partner to help you run your business better. And we focus in three primary areas for the business owner. One, we help you understand just how is your business doing. The second thing we help them with is boosting their online reputation. And then the third area that we spend time on is helping small businesses connect with their customers. And that's really the main area that a small business owner can differentiate. And so what Womply does is helps those small business owners connect with their customers in really meaningful ways so that they can understand exactly who their customers are, how to engage with them, how to make that experience better, and incentivize each one of you to come back time and time again into their business. So Womply began in San Francisco in 2011 in a very small basement, like all good startups. And we opened our first office in San Francisco after that. Didn't have any revenue to pay for it, and we're pretty nervous about the check that we were writing for rent. But we happened to be right next to the ballpark, so we got free baseball games, so at least that was good. And then we started to expand from there. So we opened an office in Portland, and then more recently, 2 years ago next month, we opened our office just right across the street here in Lehigh. So we've got some Australian influence in our company, and we have a semi-spirit animal. We've got the honey badger and also the wombat. And so the wombat, Womply is a little bit of a play on the wombat, which is an Australian creature that's very cuddly.
How can you recognize people's unique skills and help them flourish?
So I grew up in Valencia, California, Santa Clarita Valley. It's just Southern California. I've always been a California person. That's another reason I chose to move out to Utah. Like, seasons are awesome, and it's actually a really important part of your emotions just to have the transition of seasons. And we never had that in California, so it was always something I missed with family that came from Michigan and had very extreme seasons. So I wanted to feel that pain a little bit. I went to UCLA. Before that, had all kinds of odd jobs, and I think this is a really important part of my personal development. I worked at a Christmas tree farm, selling Christmas trees around the holidays and smiling and getting awesome tips, and it was great. I worked as a car salesman at one point. I did a computer repair company that I started up on my own. I was involved selling computers at Best Buy and worked for corporate America and saw what that was like and saw its structure and metrics and how that worked at a very large organization. Then I went to UCLA and got involved with some financial companies, doing some hedge funds and trying to understand that world and see if that was a path I wanted to go down. And then I had a very nice, cushy opportunity to go work for Deloitte and ended up connecting with an individual that was looking to start my prior company from a Craigslist ad. And he didn't read anything on my resume except for the fact that I like to dirt bike ride and I like restoring classic cars. And he said, because of that, you're hired. So he and I got together and we started building up this company, and I decided to turn down the offer from Deloitte, much to my parents' dismay. They were very concerned. They're actually much more concerned when the first paycheck came around, and instead of depositing the money into my account, it actually was debited and overdrafted my account, which was shared with my mother, so she got the notice and was like, what did you do, man? What are you thinking here? And we spent 6 years building that company up, and it was really, it wasn't I didn't get an MBA. I studied accounting and business economics at UCLA, but I've always been pretty business-minded and tried to learn a lot from my father. And it was truly like the MBA of hard knocks, of just making tons of mistakes, building that company up, playing lots of different roles, and figuring it out as we went along. And that company we bootstrapped, so we didn't bring in any outside capital. Fast forward to about 2012, and had this unique opportunity to go and raise some capital and get Womply going. And I said, this is a really cool opportunity for us to be able to, go and see what it's like to raise capital. And, I'm kind of a motorhead, so I'll equate it to like putting a little nitrous in the tanks, where you get to really lean over your skis, and, you're working on borrowed time, because we're not, cash flow positive as a company, but that's by design. We are growing our company very, very fast because we're using capital from investors to give us that opportunity to invest in future growth. And that's been a very different kind of operating mentality than previously, building a cash flow positive business and growing only off organic growth. But we've been very successful so far and are enjoying it, and it's been a fantastic experience to get to know how to work with the investment community, how to raise capital from them, what do the terms look like, what are the things you need to look out for, and how do you choose the right partner, because it truly does come down to being a partnership. There's lots of ways that after the capital that relationship can sour very quickly if you don't have a really good working rapport with them, and you need to look at them as a partner and part of your team and how they help grow the company long term.
And why Lehigh? Why Utah?
Originally, our reason to come to Utah was specifically to build out a sales team. And the good news is we had the common misconception that I think most people do is Utah is great for sales. That's primarily why we're going to come here. It's sales and support, kind of back office functions. And that was originally the expectation. We had built this team in San Francisco. We said, okay, we've graduated, and we evaluated all of these different markets. And as we started picking each one off, we realized that Utah has an unbelievable amount of advantages. We're really active, outdoorsy people, and Utah obviously caters a lot to that. We love hiking, biking, skiing, everything you can do around the seasons. Just the culture here is fantastic for raising a family. And I think, kind of broadly speaking, what we've really realized is while in cities like San Francisco or New York, people are so career focused, and it makes it really, really hard to balance career and personal and family. I think Utah has struck a really, really nice balance.
What are some of the challenges of working with mom and pop shops as compared to big enterprise customers?
Challenges and opportunities. The first challenge is just time. How can we save them a couple minutes every single day? How can we do something for them? How can they hire our software as the cheapest, perfect employee that always shows up to work, does the job for pennies, on the hour, and gets this done and adds value to them, helps them bring more customers in, helps them save those customers, retain them longer. The other challenge is education as well. You've got this great transition that's happening with a lot of succession planning and millennials taking over businesses, and kind of individuals that have ran these small businesses for 30, 40, 50 years who aren't that tech savvy and don't recognize how important it is to be found on a Google, a Yelp, a Facebook, a TripAdvisor. They don't realize that that's where we go to really determine which businesses we'll interact with. And as a result, there's an education curve that we have to work with them on. We have to help them understand why this matters and why it's critical, not just to grow their business. Not every business owner wants to become the next Walmart. They don't necessarily, their American dream is they want to put food on the table, they want to put their kids through college, they want to make sure that they are taken care of. And we need to help educate them that in order to do that, the rules have changed. You can't continue to operate like an ostrich with your head in the sand. You've got to pop your head out and really understand what are the things that you need to change around you to adapt to what consumers are doing, so you can protect the business that you built and ensure that your family is protected and your employees are protected as well. We've been really successful at signing up a lot of small businesses in every nook and cranny of America. One that comes to mind that's pretty cool is a video that we actually did with a gentleman named Leon. And Leon runs an alignment shop out in Utah here.
Hello, my name's Leon Nelson. I'm the owner, operator of Leon's Alignments here in Cedar City, Utah. Since I've started using Womply, I've seen an increased business in my business, I'm going to say 100%.
We got introduced to Leon and were able to show him our software, and now he uses it every single day to run his business. We ask his real customers to give him feedback on how his business is doing. And Leon, from his point of view, has said that Womply's helped him almost double his business. So I think from his perspective, he's gone from someone that didn't really use technology, was kind of just trusting people to help him out, to using Womply as an employee for him who could manage all this for him much more successfully. This is my second startup company. I started another company in Los Angeles, and this was right out of college. So I was like 22 years old and managing people that were many years older than me. And it was incredibly awkward, and I was very insecure. I didn't know how to manage people. All I knew was I kind of really understood the business and had a good sense for what do we need to get done as a company. But that was the biggest developmental area for me personally. How do you really understand who someone is and help them develop their skills? And I think some of the major things that I learned just in my own personal growth as a manager was one-on-ones really do matter. That's your time to have that direct connection. And my number one message that I try to send to people is you've got to manage your own career. Your career is up to you. I learned this early on. No one's going to come and just magically pick you up and say, I'm going to get you to this spot in life, and it's all going to be on me and just sit back. That doesn't happen in real life. You really need to encourage people to manage their career, and that comes with a practice that we follow at our company called Radical Candor. You got to have very direct conversations, upwards, laterally, downwards. You've got to let people know what's going on. So that dialogue and that one-on-one is probably the most important time that you can get with your manager, because they are in many ways the gatekeeper to your career aspirations and how you move along in your own personal roadmap. I think the second thing is we call this +1, and it's something kind of newer that we're trying to roll out, but everyone's hired for a specific purpose. Whatever you can do that makes yourself more visible broadly will help be that hedge against your direct manager to make sure that you also are getting exposure across the company and you're showing that you're really committed. You're thinking like an owner of this company. You want to help with the success, not just in your 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, these are the tasks that I need to get done, but more broadly, I want to help this company succeed. On the first question, internationally is actually not something that's a priority for us. The market in the US is huge, and I think the way that I get asked this question a lot, and the way I think about it is discipline and focus is really important when you're scaling up a company. And there's lots of things, lots of shiny objects that we can get distracted by all the time. There's no shortage of opportunities. International is one of those shiny objects. Why go and complicate our lives with all of the challenges of dealing cross-border when we've got this huge market in the U.S. that we're attacking right now, and we want to just demonstrate excellence in the U.S. before we even contemplate going out and looking at a broader market. So that's one of the reasons that we've decided to pause on that and hold back and focus on really just excelling in the U.S. Yeah, so the question was, looking at our jobs board, we have a lot of technology-based roles, but they're based in San Francisco. So it depends on the definition of technology. If you're talking about a pure coding type of role, a software engineer, that's been a strategic decision just from overall a management standpoint. You've got to place teams where they can be supported by their managers, and today we have software engineers in San Francisco and Portland. We have Salesforce administrators, we have BI, also technical roles, but different and different management teams that are consolidated here under our Utah roof. So it's an organizational design question. There is an opportunity for us to look at technical roles in the future once we have the infrastructure on the management side to have that make sense out here. But from a company standpoint, it becomes challenging to manage that many functions across that many offices. The question was, how do you define small business? And if we're successful with them, they should grow. So do they outgrow us at some point? Small business for us is truly the S of small business, of SMB. A typical size customer for us is an $80 average ticket. They are running transactions with customers on a daily basis, doing anywhere from about $250,000 to about $1 million in revenue annually, with a sweet spot right around $500,000 or so. So it's truly the small of small business. And for us, that's really the underserved market. They represent about half of all consumer spend annually. It's a huge opportunity, and just technology has not been there to support them. So we are squarely focused on supporting that market. One of the reasons why there is this opportunity here is most companies can't figure out how to distribute to them at economics that make sense. We've got lots of different ways that you can get to know Womply. We have this incredible treasure trove of data. I haven't spent any time talking about big data, but we have more transaction data and more data on small businesses than some of the behemoths that you hear about regularly. So, Square, PayPal, et cetera. That data gives us this unparalleled view into how small businesses are doing. And we've translated that into a really strong marketing and PR strategy where we are demonstrating our expertise as subject matter experts on small business.
For you, what has been the most exciting thing to happen at Womply so far?
Cool question. Other than the scooters we developed? Okay. Honestly, probably the most exciting thing is the first $1 of revenue we ever made. That was just a crazy moment because we went from a company that had raised a little bit of money, working in an apartment, giving our software away for free and hoping that people would use it, to all of a sudden getting paid, and we're like, people actually find this valuable. Like, this is crazy. It's kind of this cool reminder that every dollar is hard. You've got to work for every single one of those. Don't take them for granted. And it's really easy for companies to get kind of fat and happy and to become a little bit complacent and think like, oh, well, the wheels are turning, the flywheel's going. We don't have to work as hard anymore. And that's unfortunately what you see at a lot of big companies. It's really challenging to maintain that drive and that innovation. We're really helping small businesses change the way they think about their front office. And for us, it's kind of the milestones. When I think about Womply and the Main Street businesses that I interact with every single day, I want to be able to walk up and down those streets and know that we're helping every single one of them, save a little bit of time so they can get back to their families, help them bring a new customer into their business, help them retain those customers, and doing that all automatically for them so that they don't have to worry about it.
Awesome. So if you have additional questions for Cory, he'll be hanging around. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the time, and I'll hang out if anyone wants to chat about motors or anything. Thank you.